Oh,
Oh,
now we're live. Oh, well, we'll give everyone a second to hop in, but I am so excited for this conversation today. Um, we have Russell Nohelty with us, and I see people hopping in. So we're so grateful that Russell is taking the time to have this conversation with us today. I'll give a quick introduction. Russell is a prolific writer and published author. In fact, he's been a USA Today bestselling author, and he writes fantasy, comics, and instruction guides for writers who want to find success and joy even in the icky side of marketing that comes with being a published author. Plus, he's just an all around delightful and generous human being, and I've been so excited and grateful for the conversations that he's been willing to have with us, and we're excited to dive into this conversation. So, Russell, I'll let you take it away. Tell us your short version of your story and how you got here. And also, how was your week? I know that you were speaking at a conference, and I'll give you a
uh,
chance to just
oh,
debrief.
I wasn't speaking at it. I was just
Okay.
experiencing it, and it was a whole vibe. It was a whole vibe, man. Like it was so. I write a bunch of books, and I do a bunch of other stuff. Like I make tarot decks, and I draw comics and I write comics and I help people with marketing and I consult with tech companies and I do a whole bunch of stuff. And in general, people have always told me that everyone has different problems. Like you can't just port publishing problems over to comics and comics problems over to tech. And it's like, man, everyone's got the same like five problems. And uh, the biggest problem is that they don't think they have the same problems as everyone. But like everyone's got like four main problems. Well, let's see. I don't know. I'm just gonna riff off four because that's what I remember. Discovery problems. Well, the four happy compass problems are project problems, problems that occur from that are intrinsic to a project itself, audience problems, problems growing an audience. Notice I did not say monetizing and engaging an audience, prioritization problems, and income problems. That's where all the money comes in. And mainly, people are don't know what problem they actually have because they often mask, or more likely, they're just lying to themselves because they do not want to hear that
Mm.
um, they have a problem. They just want everything to be hunky dory, but they sure do like complaining about it. They don't like fixing them, but they sure like complaining about them. So
I
I don't
feel
know.
like that is the top genuine human problem for all of
Yeah.
us.
I mean, if we could just, I always say, like, and I will enable any dumb idea you have as long as you know how dumb it is.
Yeah.
I don't like, you have to look at it and be like, well, this is a dumb problem. Because what ends up happening if you make a dumb move is you come back and you blame me or you blame yourself. And I'm like, I'm not to blame. Like, I like me thinking it's a good idea is probably a guarantee that it's a bad idea because like I like things that like are off kilter. Um,
Right.
and then I say, and also it's not on you because you knew it was like the only problem you had was you didn't look at this and see it's a dumb problem. So like I will not enable you to like
Right.
make a dumb problem unless you know it's a dumb decision. But I think that the only way we can win, everyone on this call right now can win. The only way is by defining our axes, the axis
Mhm.
why we can win. And we're playing on someone else's axis. We're all playing
Mhm.
on like currently we're playing on Substack's axis, for instance. We're on Substack right now. And like so I just sit here and go like, those aren't the rules. Those are the rules Substack gave you. And you agree to those rules, which obviously means that like Substack is going to win because they have told you the axis that you should play on, but, like, that's not the only axis. It's not even the only axis on Substack. It's just the one that gives them the most money, and that's fine.
Right.
I have nothing against that. The problem is not that the platform is defining their own axis. We all should be defining our own axis and talking about what the problem is that we all believe it,
Mm.
and especially when it's against our own interest.
that. This is making me so excited because you've already like touched on all of the questions that I wanted to dig into for this call. Because we're talking about creative freedom and how important it is to find your own authentic version of creative freedom, even when it comes to the business side of being a published author. So I guess we'll start with what is the Happy Compass and explain to us this framework that you've built to help us find our own axis and hopefully that access is centered on our authenticity.
Sure. So the happy compass is one of the four parts of the path of least friction, which is basically what Capitalist of my publication and my methodology is based around. It's what the book Frictionless Growth, the one that you get for joining Capitalist for free, is built around. But the happy compass is all about breaking blocks. So here's the thing: we talked about blocks. I'm going to sit up for a second, and
Yeah.
I'm going to come a little bit closer to the mic. Maybe I sound a little
Awesome.
bit better. But
You sound great.
the the problem is that unless we know what our actual block is, we are going to think that our block is something that it's not and apply solutions to that block that do not help it and sometimes make it worse. So I will give you an example. And they pretty much, maybe not the prioritization, but they pretty much happen in order. So, like, of the thing that can block you the most. So, the number one is the H, which is the project block, which is things intrinsic to this project. So, they are things that you can change if you change this project. So, like, this is my tarot deck. If it cannot be fixed without anyone else's interruption but yours or your team's, then it is not a project block. So, for instance, your cover might suck. Your book might stink. Your cover might be awful. Your blurb might not be great. You might have a third chapter cliffhanger. Like, I don't know, there's like 1,000 things that, like, we think um oh well, we don't have a big enough audience, but it's like it does not matter how many people you bring to this book. If you bring the right people to the, or it could be that you're targeting the book to the just the wrong people, or like the book is screaming to the wrong people who don't love it. So
Mhm.
it's all about how to make sure this project resonates the most deeply with the most humans. It is and if you have one of these blocks, guess what? You fix these blocks and the rest of the thing works. Um, or it unveils a secondary block, but you can't know if you have other blocks until you fix your project blocks. So, like,
Mhm.
this is on Substack is like most people's Substack pages stink. They're like the writing might be good, but they're not appealing. They don't make me want to subscribe, or they don't. And I'm very good at empathy, so I'm very good at taking other people's perspective. When I talk to them, they're not making they don't make the person who um their ideal client is subscribe either.
Mhm. Yep, that's
Here's the
accurate.
easiest thing on Substack to do. Go to your page, close your eyes, take a deep breath, extrapolate from known data and take someone else's perspective, open your eyes, and in 3 seconds, tell yourself whether you would actually subscribe to your own publication or not. There's an 80% chance at least that you will say no. And if you won't subscribe to your own publication, no one else will either. Okay, so that's a project block. Make sense? All right,
Makes sense
awesome.
to me.
Okay, so the next is audience blocks. So an audience block is, again, we are assuming that this project is right now. If this project is not, so a lot of people say, no one's buying my book, and the problem is book. That's a project block. But people also say that, and it's like, well, you have 4 people on your email list, or like this email list was built for a whole nother project, or
Mhm.
like this isn't even your email list, or you bought this email list, or like you're not on a you hate all the platforms that you're on, or like you're spending you're spending energy and not getting any return. And so, like, those are problems intrinsic to the market and the market that you have. Maybe you fix your project blocks and now somebody doesn't your audience that maybe even kind of liked the old stuff, the old marketing, um, no longer responds. You're like, well, I don't know, man. You got to find a new audience. Like I talked about this on a live earlier this week. It's like, well, the problem is your marketing is fine, but that is not the product you're making. You're not
Hmm.
making this product. So like it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if this marketing is good because every word that comes out of your mouth is for a different avatar. And so when they get to this page, you're like, what do I even care?
Yeah,
Um,
doesn't resonate with me.
Exactly. It's like, okay, well, so we got to make the right audience. So we got the right project, the right audience, and it's big enough to warrant to have problems. So, for instance, we'll talk about this in a minute, but income, like you're not making the right income, might be well if you have a 2 to 5% income. Well, if you have a 2 to 5% conversion rate, you're making the right conversion rate. That's a good conversion rate. I don't know, like you don't have an income problem. You have an audience problem. You just need more people to find it.
Yep.
Prioritization problems are the easiest ones to describe because everyone has them. It's doing too many things, doing the wrong thing, doing things in the wrong order. And then income blocks. So, how are income blocks different than audience blocks? Income blocks are the most boring to
Fair
fix.
enough. Yep.
Um,
We're all
they
pretty
are I
no.
have to change my sales page. I have to fix my offer letter. I have to change my automation sequence. I have to so it's really all of the things that make people want to roll their eyes, including me. I don't like doing those things, but like I have to find like I'm trying to launch a bookstore on TikTok and it's not working because TikTok is not intrinsically a monetization platform. It's intrinsically a discovery platform with a monetization engine built in. So it's like you have a subscription and you really need to write a book, or you have a book and you need to turn it into a movie, or like you really love weird fantasy. So you write a book and then you're like, well, that probably would work better as an RPG or something like that. Like it's it's fixing the income problems. It's saying, oh, I have 1,000 people on my email list, and I have the right product, and only 1% are converting. Well, that's a problem. That's an actual income problem. So how does this differ? How does the biggest problem is between audience and income blocks? Because to solve, if we think we have audience blocks, but we really have income blocks, well, the way to solve an audience block is drop the price and be more present in the universe. And like, that is how you get a bigger audience. That's how you get people to subscribe to your newsletter. If you actually have an income block, though, that's not going to help you at all because the way to solve an income block is usually to make something more exclusive and to make it more expensive. So, like, if
Mm,
you have an income block and you drop the price and become more present, it literally will make your problem worse. So, the
mm,
happy compass is about somehow finding a way to match the right know where your actual problem is, and then apply a solution to fix it. And then you can see if there's any second or third or fourth order problems beneath it. But most I mean, it's basically 100% of people that I consult with do not even conceptually understand what their block actually is.
mm. Yep. If I were to condense this all into like one sentence, it seems like the happy compass is really about understanding what you're trying to say through your art and then understanding who you're saying it to and how to say it in a way that resonates with them. Is that accurate?
I mean, and money, plus
Mm,
money,
yeah,
and also
fair.
burnout. So, like, it's hard because
Got
it's really, knowing what you want to make, how to make it resonate, where to
it. Mhm.
find the people that resonate too, how to not get burned out doing this, and also make a sustainable income. So,
Yes.
somehow,
Well,
if that
this
was one sentence.
Well, I mean, for all of us here, I think all of us authors and writers, we started out in the arts because our creative brains were really excited about doing things our own way and not following some of these boring rules of marketing. And then we realized that if we want to become a published author that's successful, we have to understand this world of business. It's kind of like we didn't sign up for it, but it comes with the uh, the part of being a published author. And I will say, for anyone who's in this call listening, Russell is giving us a crash course on marketing. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll get him to help us answer them.
Yeah, but
Um,
here's another thing, like, mm, I love you. I don't mean this in any disrespect, but I think that's kind of bullshit.
mm,
Because, like, any form of art has structural issues. So, like, if you want to work with watercolor, guess what? You have to do the things that make watercolor, like, work or work against those things. And the same thing is with writing. Like, you can't write without letters, words, symbols, and numbers. Like, you just
mm,
like writing is exchanging what's in our head for like symbols on a page or in and so Frank Gehry has a great master class where he says 85% of what I do is the same as everyone else. I have the same laws of gravity, of construction, of shipping, of logistics, all of those other things. It's in the 15% that I have freedom. And I think that that is the same thing with like, you pick your bounds. If you pick
mm,
watercolor to be your medium, you decide to work in the bounds of you don't complain that it doesn't work like acrylic, or at least you do. Even if you do, you're like, okay,
you
but I
do it
know
while
why this isn't
self-aware.
gonna do
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna use wood blocks to burn stuff, like, guess what? You're gonna have to burn stuff on wood blocks. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you picked the medium.
Right. That's actually I really appreciate that you brought this up, because this is another question I had was, do you think that there are rules to the process of platform building and building a successful business, or do you think that we have to make up our own rules?
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Like, there are rules, but the way that you are going to succeed is usually to break the rule and do
Mm,
something that has asymmetric risk and gets asymmetric gain. The problem is that we say, okay, so at some point in my early of my career, I started saying, well, that's dumb, or like, that's obviously not true a lot. Like, people would say, readers don't read cross genre. And I was like, it's stupid. And they were like, no,
yeah,
that's what Amazon says. And I'm like, okay, but like, have you ever met a human being that like didn't read cross genre or consume things in multiple genres? Like,
right?
I've never met somebody who was like, even if they were like, I only read romance. Be like, okay, like, what does that even mean? Or like, what do you watch on TV? Oh, murder shows. What podcast
Right.
do you listen to? It's just like, it's like nobody actually does that. But
Yeah.
like, if you don't understand the rules, then like, you can't know that they're dumb. And what we have is a lot of people who are trying to break the rules, but they have no idea what the rules are. And it's
Mm,
we think that it's easier to go our own way, but it is so much harder to break the
mm,
rules
yeah.
because it means you have to understand. It's absurdism, like absurdism, surrealism, all of those isms that are like not realistic are so much harder because it
Yeah.
means I know everything I'm supposed to do and I am very intentionally going this other way
Mm,
to show you a different way to view the world. And if you don't get every piece of that right, then your thing is not going to land. I was literally talking about this with my wife. I was like, I don't think this person understands what absurdism is because like absurdism is a commentary on. Surrealism is a commentary on. Dadaism is a commentary on. Existentialism is a commentary on reality. They all intrinsically understand what you believe reality is and are saying either what if that wasn't true? Or isn't that stupid? Or like, isn't that hilarious? Or like, isn't that like, you think it works this way, but like, what about this thing? But like, if you don't understand that people actually are taught to believe this thing, and you don't know that this thing is actually true, and you don't understand how to bridge the gap between the two things, it will never work.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the rules that we've been conditioned to believe as creatives is the myth of the starving artist. We've been told that if you want to be an artist, then you're never going to make money. And do you feel like, especially with the economy that we have nowadays, do you feel like it is possible for anyone to be able to make a career out of writing or the arts?
Um, is it Charlie Charlie D'Amato, whatever her name is, makes like $1 million doing TikTok dances. So, like, do I think? I mean, I see multiple people on this call right now that like make money, make enough money to live or survive or thrive. I do. I don't know. Like, if one person can do it, anyone can do it. Like, but
Mhm.
that doesn't mean everyone can do it. It means anyone can do it. But like, it's probably not going to look the same as you think it will. The question that I think you're really asking is it possible to take the thing in my head in the exact way that I want to do it and make it a career? And the truth of that one is like, probably not. I'm sorry. I love you. I love all of you on this call. But like, just like when you write a book or you write a project or you do anything, it doesn't figure out the same at the end. Like, life is about taking what you want, taking what shows up, and learn to live the thing that shows up and love it anyway, and like mold it
Mhm.
into the thing you want. And do I think that process is a lot is possible? Yeah. I think it's real possible. I mean, in order to make $100,000, you need what? 1,000 people to give you $100? That's probably tough. You need 300 people, 350 people to give you $300? That's more doable. You need like 100 people to give you $1,000? Well, like, I don't know, you need 4 people to give you $25,000? Like, I don't know, are there 4 companies in the world that I think you could make $25,000 as a copywriter for? Do I think there's like 1,000 people who want your work? Yeah, but the problem is not finding the 1,000 people. It's that the minute those
Mhm.
1,000 pe you find those 1,000 people, you need to find more because those people burn off. They don't follow you. Even if they love you, they don't follow you. When was the last time you bought a book from your favorite author?
Mhm.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Oh, for me? Well, I will say, my one of my favorite authors now is one of the authors that we work with. Her name is Jessica Ann, and I just bought the book that she just released. So that was about a month or two ago. Uh,
Okay, when's the last time you bought a book from the author who meant the most from you in childhood?
that's a good one. Probably the last time they published it, which most authors stop publishing books after a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
So
and
probably
especially
at
after
least a
they're
decade.
dead.
Yeah, right?
So, like, you probably everyone who's listening now probably has a favorite author that you resonate with a lot. And probably have not bought a book from them, their last book. You may have missed like 10 of their releases. Probably have at best have got 10 books from them in the last decade. So like, just because you love something, just because it meant something to you, just because like it means it doesn't mean that it's going to be monetizable over time. Like, very few people follow you and buy from you for the long haul. So many people, I'm like, wow, I forgot your book. Wow, you have 10 books. And then that's how I spend the next month of my life. So, like,
Yeah.
I think that we envision this whole thing wrong.
Yeah, I see
Because
that.
I don't, I think what matters is, so we are sitting here saying, I want to make money with books. So we try and buttress our time. We have a job here and we try and replace that with books. But then what happens is in 10 years, guess what? You're not going to like books as much as you do. You're not going to only want to write books. You want to, I don't want, no, like, own a fish shop in Borneo or something. I don't know what you're going to want to do, but like, you're not going to necessarily want to do books. But so if you don't yoke yourself into being able to do whatever you want whenever you want, you take out this buttress and just buttress it for space, you're going to have a bad time because almost everyone that I know changes somewhat in 5 years, changes the genre that they want to write, changes something, changes that they want to be known as something that they're no longer known for. Like everyone wants to change their thing. And if you're stuck making anything, then it's a job and it's a worse job than having a job because it doesn't have benefits.
This is so very true. We had someone, Jesse Pogue. I want to say hi. It's good to hear from you again. He asked a question, big picture. His Substack is just me thinking on the screen, but I recently started a serial. My goal is to serialize first and later to publish it. So I'm using Substack as an exposure to my work. Since I'm starting from ground zero, am I thinking about this correctly? There's a good overall.
I'm going to tell you a story. Then I swear to God, I'll answer this question. Okay. So I was at this
Perfect.
conference and I was sitting across from some very businessy guy who did some businessy thing. I don't even remember something about like deliverability or sends or making clicks do money. I don't know. But, I was in the whole getup that I get into. Like I have a whole thing. I'm a whole thing. I'm tall. I like very colorful shirts on. I'm a whole ass mood. And he's just like, man, I wish I could like be more like you. And I'm like, well, why can't you? He's like, because I fear that people aren't gonna like me. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, buddy. I hate to tell you this, but like people don't like you already. Like, and
Right.
so this is relevant because I said, look, if you are happy with how things are, amazing. I love that for you. But like, it seems like you're not happy. And thus, I will say something needs to change. So to Jesse, I would say, what do you actually want though? Because
Mhm.
like, sure, that's fine. I mean, that's that's certain. I mean, I don't know. It sounds pretty good. I mean, I don't know. That's certainly a way to do something. But like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Do you want to serialize a book? Like, are you in a monetization era or are you in a growth era? So here's the thing. Now that I have Happyless, everyone thinks I'm like all crunchy up in the clouds, but I'm like, it's actually built on a hugely solid foundation of all of this methodology because it has to, because I go to space. And I take you to space, and just like we said before, I have to be able to ground you back in here. So,
Mhm.
um, if you want to serialize a story, and then I'm going to assume that you want exposure, to which I would say, where else are you serializing it? What else are you doing? How are you getting people in? How are you thinking about getting people in? How are you finding other places to cross promote with? What are the activities that bring you the largest return of energy investment? And like, I mean, you're thinking about it, but like, I mean, that's like a first step thought. I mean, I want to serialize my book on Substack. I mean, sure, that is something you can do and then publish it. That's also something you can do. But I also talked to someone earlier today who's like, I spent 2 years and had 100 subscribers and then went on a thing and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You spent 2 years on this platform and don't have 100 subscribers yet? Like the only thing this platform does well is organic growth. So if you're not getting organic growth, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? Like, you're not getting subscribers, you're just burning energy. And the thing is that everything is energy. So like you are dumping in energy and you're dumping in more energy than you're getting back at the beginning, but like you have to have a mechanism to change that around. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. So, like, when the energy transfer is positive in your favor, you grow. When it's negative, you burn out. So, like, how are you making this energetic transfer happen?
Mhm.
Oof,
Yep.
we're going really crunchy now.
Well, I've got something even better. You coined a term called chaosing around, which resonated with me and with a lot of creatives that I know because I think the creative brain is uniquely wired to, like you said earlier, want to do a bunch of different things at different times. So do you feel like this tendency, this ability to chaos around, is a strength when it comes to marketing or more of a weakness?
Again, it all these are all very dependent questions. So I would
Mhm.
say there are people that my wife tends to more order. She has a hard time with chaos. And so even a little bit of chaos is like a joy for her. Meanwhile, I live in chaos. And so like but I feel like I need to be structured to order. That's why all of my things are structured in frameworks and other kinds of things. So I would say, what is the container for your money? How are you chaosing?
Mhm.
So if you chaos around and you chaos beyond the bounds of your money, well, that's a problem. But if it creates something that is a container that's big enough to fit all of your chaos, it's not bad. I
Mhm.
talked to an artist down at this conference, and like she was doing like music and fashion and photography and like woodwork, all this other stuff. And her significant human was like, "Yeah, you know, you really should put more order on things." And she was like, "I should put more order on things." And I was like, "I don't know, dude. I'm listening to the words that are I'm listening to the energy coming out of it, and it doesn't that doesn't sound like you're going to do it, nor are you going to enjoy it, or is it going to lead to the best work?" It was like, "Oh, maybe I should line my inspiration up with my menstrual cycle." And I was like, "Can you do that though?" She's like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Yeah." So like, let's just take into account that like this significant human was right when you think of optimization. Sure, like that would be great in a world where like that kind of human can do that, but that kind of human can't do that. So,
Mhm.
like, what if we just like did things less optimized and we just said, okay, well, I'm not going to make the maximum amount of money, but I'm going to have the maximum amount of fun. What does that
Mhm.
mean? Or like, I'm going to have the maximum amount of creativity. What does that mean? It means, well, like, you're going to do a lot of different things, right? So
Yep.
we need to figure out like what is a container that is broad enough to fit all of those things. And
Mhm.
that and that those things are so unique to you that like no one else could possibly do them. So that when
Yep.
someone says, "Ugh, I don't know if I like this new track that you took." But, like, I don't know, man. I love your music, and, like, I'm just gonna you're the only one who makes your music. I can't, like, go and lo-fi some other stuff. Like, you just look something about the way you resonate that, like, works for me, so I'm just gonna tough it out. And, like,
Yep.
that's what a lot of people in my audience I know do. They're like, I don't like, no one else thinks like me. And if you want my kind of there are people that, like, do very, like, center writing, and, like, they're very good at hitting the market and, like, sometimes even, like, making it sound like them. But, like, there is nobody talking about capitalism, like, but
Mhm.
me. Like, there's nobody that's, like, talking about it in this way that's both crunchy and structured. And so, like, if
Mhm.
you want that, you gotta come along, and if you don't like part of it, fucking leave. I don't care. You can go somewhere else. But you can't. You can't go somewhere else because, like, I have it.
Yep.
So I used to silo. A lot of people silo these things and like these different publications or these different platforms or these different things, and nothing's growing because like they're not. They like make an album and then like 2 years later they're like, oh yeah, I did have an album, huh? So like really it's about if you want to be a chaosing human, what is the container that we're going that is big enough? Not that's gonna take you in, just like the universe is a container, the earth is a container, this house is a container. Like all the things are containers. Our bodies are containers, but they're containers for a whole universe living inside of us. So like, how do we make something that's broad enough to just like be you? And how do we make you plant in a when so that then when you say, "I am here," instead of saying, "I am here," you take a big flag and you go, "I am here," with your whole chest. And we
Yeah.
don't wanna say it with their whole chest. So,
'Cause
like
it's scary. It's
yes,
scary to be yourself.
sure. But, like,
Yeah.
you in order to be caught in the chaos, like, you have to like, there are some rules. So it's like, if you were an order person, I would say a whole different thing to you. And like, I don't know, this says there's 34 people here. There might be 3 for all I know. And they're all like, I can't believe that this is so chaotic. But like, I just don't care
Yep.
because like I am sick of living the other ways. Like, you know what you're getting. You got Capitalist. So like at this point now, when someone books me on a show, I'm like, all right, you've known me for more than 3 days. My stuff is broadly available, so, like, you have to know what you're getting. And then sometimes when people do it, they're like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "Well, you didn't read the welcome packet, did you? Like, you didn't get bought in, so I don't know what to tell you." Like, with
Yep.
if you want Russell, you get Russell. If you don't want Russell, don't book Russell. That's fine, but, like, I bring something to a specific group of people that they enjoy, and so whether any of the 35 people that are here right now are enjoying it, suffering through it, or, like, maybe he has a point, but man, his voice is really annoying. Well, like, if you're that 3rd place, I usually write things. I don't talk a lot.
There you go. You've got another avenue there. I think that this is kind of getting into something that we talk about a lot at 1 Billion Arc, which is authenticity being the key to a successful and a joyful author career. And I know that it's kind of become like this buzzword lately, and people have kind of like forgotten what it means. But to you, what does authenticity mean as far as what you write and then how you sell it?
Can I sell this for the next 10 years without hating my life?
Mm, yep,
So, here's the problem with most authors that you probably work with early career, right?
yep,
They do not have any comprehension of how long 10 years is. Like, your books are things you have to talk about for 10 years.
yeah.
Your brand is something you have to live with every day of your life for 10 years. And now do you wanna make that book? I don't know. Like, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But, like, things are really quick and things are really long. So, like, for me to be authentic, like, A, I have to like it,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
B, I have to get a positive feedback loop from it, and
Mhm.
C, like, I have to be able to do it with very little effort. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Yep.
it's like things that are effort that are authentic flow out of
Yep.
us,
Yep.
and they flow out of us so much that even when we try to contain it, it's painful to contain it.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
things that are painful to contain. Now, that said, there's a lot of views you probably shouldn't express. There's a lot of things you shouldn't like you shouldn't necessarily say that I don't even say on calls like this. Like, um, I try to keep my political opinions not to when I'm on other people's podcasts and when I'm on my own only, because that's not what they're paying for. That's not what they're like bringing me on for, unless they are, in which case then I'm thrilled to talk about it.
Yep.
Um, but like authenticity is about, I guess, okay, so we have this approved vendor program for Capitalist. And and my pitch is like, I'm not going to do anything different. I'm going to talk about you the exact same way as I talk about you now. The question is, do you want me in your corner or do you want me on your team? Because like
Mhm.
when I'm on your team, I like, I behind the scenes, I take interest in you, not just, and so authenticity is like what, if you have to think about whether it's authentic or not, it probably isn't.
Mm.
Like, okay, so, there's a lot of things that I do, and many of my friends would be like, "There's Russell back on his bullshit again." And so it's like, your authenticity is like you being back on your bullshit. Like, you know what your bullshit is, and you're like, "Okay, but, like, how do I make this broadly palatable and not embarrassing to me?" Because, like, I am not embarrassed by this. There are certain times that I am very embarrassed by things in my past, but it's like, how do I take all of those things that people love about me and use it as as a sail, not an anchor?
Mm. Yep. It's kinda like what you were describing where it's hard to plant your own flag and say it with your chest. It's hard to break the rules because that requires, instead of just taking the path that someone else has forged, even though it might be a horrible path to walk, you have to go and bushwhack your own path. And you
Right.
have to
Oh, do you read
know,
AQ?
yes,
Such
yes,
a great book. Alright,
yep.
sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, recommendation for anyone listening. Um, but yeah, like being able to bushwhack your own path, you have to know where you're going and you have to know what you're bringing there. You have to know who you are and be able to say it with your whole chest. And I think that when we talk about authenticity, it applies to writing because like Russell said, you have to be able to market what you wrote for 10
Mm,
years. And
right,
in order to do that, you have to have a strong why behind
right,
why you're writing it and what you're saying. And that kind of goes along with the H in the happy compass, which is heart. There has to be a
right.
heart behind what you're writing.
But I wanna say 'cause it looks like Jesse has something else to say,
Yes.
which I didn't read, but I wanna just say, like, saying it with your whole chest isn't saying it like me. Like, we
Mm,
have 2 very different humans on this call right now, and, like, I would say they're both very authentic to their way. They both like, One Brilliant Arc is a very you, like,
yep.
project. Like, Capitalist is a very me project, but, like, you are much more soft-spoken than I am. You're much more erudite than I am. Like, you're much more contemplative than I am. Like, my wife is very, like, analytical and, like, reflective, and, like, I am much more gregarious. The question is, okay, so as a career, where how why where does someone book you?
Mm,
Like you are in if you wanna do this kind of work, like, if you're on a panel, there's usually, like, a plethora of humans on the panel, and, like, what where are you booked?
mm,
Like, if it's they're like, "Oh, I don't quite know. Brand's not strong enough. Identity's not strong enough." Like, people know if you want business stuff for creatives, like, I am that guy. If you want it to be pretty crunchy, I am that guy. If you want me to go in detail on, like, projects and, like, being, like, going your own way and chaosing around, I'm your guy. If you want me to talk about how to run a publishing company, you would never book me for that thing because even though I have run a publishing company, like I'm not going to give you a point by point of what like it means to run a publishing company. My friend Joe Beal is, or maybe you
yeah.
will. I don't know, but like the question is really like, where are you a positive benefit to the ecology of your ecosystem, and
Mm,
where what part do you play? And we always say we want to not play a part, but like, dude, playing a part's great.
yeah.
Like,
It,
it's like we all play parts. You play a part in your home life, you play a part in your like, it's not playing it's not acting as a part.
yes.
It's
That's
saying
the
like,
key.
like you got a bunch of bacteria inside of you. They're all playing a part, man, but they're all playing their own part. They're all dancing to their own tune.
Yes. Yep. That's the key is making sure that you're doing something with purpose and you're doing it in your own way.
Yeah.
What Jesse said, he was talking about, uh, he said something that was really, really awesome. I'm at the point where I'm willing to embrace the chaos. I've played it safe for so long. I think playing it safe is where a lot of us get stuck because we start believing those lies that people tell us of who we should be, and then we don't ever get to the point of we're being who we want to be.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, so let's go back to like the absurdism versus realism. Is we say embrace yourself, but like then there's no plan. Embrace
Mhm,
the chaos is required. Embracing the chaos requires considerably more thought
mm,
at the forefront because you are going to be in a tornado. So you have to know very well your touch points. So embracing the first half of this is writing is a hard thing to get into. I want to publish books ultimately. Money is of interest, but I long since came to think that I have stories inside me that I just want to give to the world regardless of whether it pays or not. So this is the problem with whether it pays or not is you need to get a mechanism for an audience to find you. And that mechanism in capitalism is money or time.
mm.
Like, so that is why we have the return of energy investment architecture at Capitalist, because it's what activities can I do that get the biggest return on that give me the biggest return of effort, and then I can take that excess energy to accumulate time, that I can be time affluent. Then I can
Mhm.
reinvest that to be like time rich. Then I can reinvest that to be time wealthy, and then I can do whatever I want because I want to do this thing. So, like, let's just take Jesse's thing as as they said it. Um, you want to have a career and publish books. Money is of interest. Okay, well, I mean, I can tell you don't want to make a bunch of money because you're trying to do books. Like, that's a given. Like, books are a terrible business model. No one should do them unless you
Unless you
can't
have
do
a
anything
really
else.
good why, or you have
Unless
a
you
really
can't do
good
any
why.
right,
Fair.
exactly. So, like, I would say the best way to do, to, continue to have the ability to do books is to keep writing the same series or keep doing the same
Mhm.
thing over the long haul, because then you can keep coming back to that same dink and dunk. You can keep coming back to the same idea, the same universe over and over and over and over and over again, and it grows and amplifies over time. It's really
Yes.
hard to do at the beginning though, because you're probably not that great a writer, and you don't have any audience, so you don't know what they actually want. So
Mhm.
you got to get some stuff out there that people want. And you gotta get a lot of testing, which is why most people start with short stories, because short stories, you can test a bunch of them in a very little amount of time, and you can say, "Oh, these ones sold to publications. This style really resonates with, like, this group of people or that group of people." So serializing a whole story, if that is what your goal is, I would say, well, short stories are just a lot easier to do. They're just like a lot easier to get interest in. Like, you could go to a bunch of publications, you can submit to a lot of magazines, like you can do anthologies, you can make your own anthology, just like a whole lot more stuff to do if you have a lot more time to like figure out where your chaos is. So those are the two sides of the coin, right? It's like, well, what is the best thing for me to tell Jesse? Is it to serialize that story? Is it to make 100 short stories? Is it to get rejected 100 times this year or 1,000 times this year? Because that would like build up some if you get rejected 100 times means you probably got like approved a couple times. I don't
Yep.
know, because I don't know what the activities that you do that would lead to the best energy return.
Mhm.
And I don't know where your joy lies.
Mm.
If your joy lies in finishing things, telling a really long story is not a good idea. If your
Mhm.
joy lies in going really deep and comprehensive and writing ridiculous chapters on like the the economic outcome of some crazy like city that you built made like, yeah, okay, like maybe write a long story, but like it takes, this is why I don't think coaching will ever go away, because
Mhm.
like I consult with a lot of people, even though I like have a community and like in 2 hours. So if anyone wants like to go really deep on this, I have a breakthrough session later today for people in our $300 a year tier. And like you just can get access to that and come in and like do those things. I'm just going to say that's happiness.com/subscribe. It'd be great to have you. We do it twice a month. Um, but like you really need to know what you want. And you can
Mhm.
only know what you want if you know what you really want. You can only know if you really, really want if you're able to be true to yourself and look
Mhm.
in the mirror and say, am I in a growth era or in a monetization era? Do I
Mhm.
really want to make this book? Will I be able to talk about it? Like, or like you, I think is so beautiful that you're like, this is where I'm getting joy now. So this is what I'm doing now. You didn't say this is where I get joy. You said this is where I'm getting joy now. And the
Yep.
ability to say, to not just say, I know what joy is, I know what returns joy to me, but also that this might change tomorrow by saying now is beautiful. And we should have more of that.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for so graciously sharing, Jesse, about your situation, giving us a specific case study to talk about with some of Russell's uh, frameworks here. Samantha Garcia also said, "What would you do, or how would you write a book of real life story that you lived so crazy that no one would believe it to be true?"
I don't know, man. I wrote a book called I read a book called And Then I Thought I Was a Fish, which was about a guy who had a LSD psychotic break, and I believed that. I just read I was telling you early before we got on this call, like I read a book about like the case for heaven, and as he's
Yep.
reading it, he's doing all of this like quantum physics, noetic stuff, and I was like, bro, you should just look at the Noetics Institute, man. So like I have a very high bar for um so crazy no one will believe it to be
Yeah.
true. What I would say is where are the people that are ready to believe it to be true? Because like people will
Yes.
believe people in capitalists believe some pretty crazy stuff like the present can affect the past, like that like nothing is good or bad until you look at it, that like
Hmm.
things can exist in multiple states at once, like that like we don't control the outcomes, only the inputs. Like these are things that like are pretty crazy things to just randomly say to somebody. And like when you when you're around the right group of people, you're just like, well, obviously. So I would
Yeah.
say like who doesn't think it's crazy already?
Mm.
One.
Yep.
And then I would say, if you're still like, no, I want to write it for the mass public, I would say, then you have to follow the rules of something really closely. I actually think a really great example of this is Dan Brown's new book, because Dan Brown wrote a book about noetics, which is
Mm.
how I know about noetics. Um, he wrote a book about noetics after writing a book about the Da Vinci Code and a bunch of just bonkers stuff. But he followed the rules of Thriller
Mhm.
and he made it so easily consumable that, like, the only thing that was crazy about his book was this noetic stuff that he force fed you very slowly over the course of an entire story and wove it into this really competent thriller. So I would
Yeah.
say, like, you're gonna have to take a big area of thing and then make it real easy to consume and then
Yeah.
slowly drip one concept at a time. I learned this during our when I wrote the Godsverse Chronicles, which is a
Mhm.
book about
Yeah.
death, the universe, what happens after you die, and like gods and how all gods are can exist in one universe without it being like them stepping on each other. So, like, it's a very, very in-depth book, but, like, I started releasing book 5 and then realized it's so crazy that I had to write 4 books before it to just, like, explain, to get people to the point that they could even comprehend the crazy. And then I wrote books like these dragon books, which are in that universe, these, like, standalones that are in that universe, and my other big series, the Obsidian Spindle Saga, is in a thread of that universe. All of these things much easier to consume than my weird series, book 5 to 12 about, like, what, where, and when happens after you die and like what is our place in the world.
Mhm.
Um, so if you have a real crazy life story, you can either find the groups of people who already believe that, find the
Mhm.
people who are close to believing it,
Mhm.
like, or you can make a whole different book that's like a very basic book that like force feeds these concepts over time. But I mean, I don't know, man. I literally run a community called Capitalist. It's about like chaosing your way to success and like optimizing for joy, and that like you don't have to be serious about your business. Like these are concepts that are like very esoteric. And so I tend to think, and yet I somehow make a living. I still get booked on things. I don't understand how I get booked on stuff more now that I say crazier. The more crazy stuff I say, the more stuff I get booked on. So, yeah, I don't
Yep.
I tend to think that people will believe it to be true, but you should put it in a framework that is easy to understand and consume.
Yes, this was gonna be my answer was who are you trying to convince? Which is what you said, like, speak to the people who are already close to believing or, are believing, and then also learn storytelling, because storytelling is that universal language that is the framework that can make your crazy truth believable to someone else. So
Yeah.
well, I want to wrap it up and not take too much of your time, Russell, but thank you so, so much for your generosity in answering all of our questions and letting us pick your brain on all these things. I really appreciate the time that you've spent and all of the work that you do to help us to learn how to find more joy in the careers that we've chosen. Um, I want to say to anyone listening, I'll give actually, Russell, you give a chance to plug yourself, let people know where they can follow you, get your books, read your stories, and then also learn more about what it means to be a capitalist.
Sure. So, I mean, the easiest way is to go to hapitalist.com. We have all of our books behind the paywall, but you get our book, Frictionless Growth, which has the majority of this framework just for subscribing. We do calls twice a month and a whole bunch of other cool stuff for paid members. And we have one later today. So you should join our unicorn tier at hapitalist.com/subscribe.
You definitely should. You will get some real quality frameworks and advice. And also, if you need help getting your story written before you can start following Russell's marvelous advice on how to build your author business, check out One Brilliant Arc because we offer story coaching and editing services to help you speak that language of storytelling. And we're all about getting stories that matter out into the world and amplifying your authentic voice so that you can then best employ Russell's frameworks. So thank you again so much for the time that you've spent with us. Thank you for everyone who listened, and we will see you next time.